It is not realistic to make $100,000 per month working, having a business for 1 or 2 years. Right now, everybody is selling the dream online that it is super easy to make $100,000 per month. That's $1.2 million per year, which a fraction of a percentage of all business owners, not even all people, but of business owners take that home every single year working for 10 plus years. If you're doing $100,000 a month in profit, you're doing probably $350,000 plus a month in revenue, which very few business owners in the entire world make. And if you think that's what's going to happen of you working for 3 months or for 2 years, it's just very unrealistic. It's very easy to have those sort of expectations. Then you blame people online when you don't hit those sort of numbers. But I would say it is very achievable to spend 5 years building a business where you can then generate $100,000 per month. That is incredibly achievable when you have a longer term time horizon. And most people, it will take substantially over 5 years. But if you looked at things on a 5 to 7 year time horizon when you were starting and you said, okay, I don't want to make $10,000 per month. I want to make a few $1,000,000 per year, 5 to 7 years from now. And then you built the foundation to scale a business that had the infrastructure in place where you could make a few $100,000 per month. Very reasonable, but it's not going to happen in 2 years. And usually when you have those sort of expectations, that can completely disgruntle you when it doesn't happen. Guess what? It's not realistic to make $10,000 per month in your first 6 months of starting an online business when you're 19 years old with zero skills and you've never done anything in your entire life. To go from zero to making $10,000 per month, you're still in the 1% of the world if you're making that much money. If you think that's going to happen with 6 months of effort, having zero knowledge and zero base in anything else in your entire life, but you also want to live a life, that is super, super unrealistic. If you're going to do something that 1% of people in the entire world achieve, which is, I think the 1% in the world is like $50,000 per year. So if you look on a global scale, you are already in the 1% if you're making over that amount. $100,000 per year, which would be $10,000 per month, is, let's say, a fraction of that. And so if you think that you are a normal person, if that's what you're doing and you have normal expectations, it's not realistic, especially when you're young and dumb with no real experience. And the reason why I'm angry is because that's what I thought. When I was 17 years old and I was first wanting to start a business, I thought that it was very realistic to make $10,000 a month within my first 30 days of starting a business. When it's just not, because you don't know the amount of work that it takes to actually build something. And now, after building something over 5+ years, the compounding from year 4 to 5, way more money, like unbelievable amounts of more money than the entire 4 years combined, because it takes a long time to build something that compounds. One of the best things in the entire world is that compounding growth. Now, every single month, we could double what I even thought was fathomable just last year. The infrastructure has gotten built out. But if you asked me when I was 18, when I was starting, I would have said that by this time, I would have been making millions of dollars per month. You know how unrealistic that was? Obviously, I still have unrealistically high goals. They are so unrealistic. If I hit a fraction of what I want to, then I would literally never have to worry about anything else in my entire life. And I would prefer to have incredibly ambitious and quasi out of reach goals, because then you're always chasing for something more and you're really just in it for the progress, trying to just do something over a long period of time. But if you quit after 6 months because you thought that you were going to make $10,000 per month within your first few months of starting a business, that's probably the reality, because that's what happens to most people. I would say most people, because of everything that they've seen since 2020 and all these online businesses that started and all started to do super well, and then all these people who teach other people how to do super well, it makes you think, okay, everyone's probably tried something. And if you haven't, guess what? It's not realistic. But it's incredibly realistic to make unfathomable amounts of money if you spend 5 to 10 years working on something to build something that is exceptional. And now, after growing for 5 years, I know how little I actually know. I know that the next 5 years of compounding growth are unfathomable. Let me just give you an example of one of my clients who he has one of the largest businesses of anyone that I know. He has 300 plus employees. This year, he is probably going to double his net worth. He is now in his 60s. It took him 40 years to build businesses to now start to make hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars per year. That's quite literally what they do. But this year, they're taking a lot of chips off the table. Someone would say, okay, I also want to make that same amount of money. But what you don't realize is you have to stick to one thing for 30 years. And then on your 31st year, you can make $100 million plus in a year in profit take home, which is unfathomable. But what you don't hear people say is it just takes 30 years for that 31st year to make sense. And it just takes takes a very long period of time to build anything. And so I know my 8th year, let's say 3 years from now or 4 years from now, when I'm going from year 8 to 9, the cataclysmic increases in revenue and progress that are being made are unfathomable because you have so much more infrastructure and so many more people. And now there's dozens and dozens of, if not hundreds of people working on every single thing every single day, which allows you to grow way higher. The problem is you just can't skip to year 8. You have to go through the years and years. So what would actually be easier is taking over some older guy's business that's been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years, that wants to age out, that wants to train someone to take over their business. So if you found an older guy who was running a business that made a few $1,000,000 per year, he already put in most of the hard work, but obviously missing something to take it to the next level. So if you go into one of those types of businesses and can start to make a ton of money for them, you can fast track a lot of it and get paid to learn how to grow a business, but you still have to have realistic expectations.